Hey kids, have you heard of Young Warriors? This a deep cut from 1983 with few big stars and a super low profile. So what's this movie all about? It's called Young Warriors in the US and most places worldwide. But over in the UK, folks know it as The Graduates of Malibu High, directed and co-written by Lawrence D. Folds, with Russell W. Colgan helping out on the screenplay. It dropped back in 1983. The movie runs about 103 minutes and is pure 80s, action, crime and full-on vigilante drama. We start off on a college campus, think goofy frat parties and all the usual hijinks, but things get real fast. James Van Patten plays Kevin Carrigan, your standard college dude living the campus life, until disaster hits. His sister Tiffany is brutally attacked and murdered by a biker gang. Kevin basically spirals, shutting out his girlfriend, Anne Lockhart as Lucy, and his dad, who, by the way, is a police lieutenant played by the legendary Ernest Borgnine. Instead of healing, Kevin pulls his college buddies together and, yeah, you guessed it, forms a vigilante squad. They take justice into their own hands, targeting criminals for revenge. It all builds up to, you guessed it again, a bloody showdown. So if you like a little Animal House that takes a hard left into Death Wish territory, this is it. Here's who you'll spot: James Van Patten as Kevin, Anne Lockhart as Lucy, Ernest Borgnine as Kevin's dad, Lieutenant Bob Carrigan, Richard Roundtree turning up as Sergeant John Austin, Linda Day George in a supporting role. Behind the scenes, Lawrence D. Folds directs and writes, teaming up with Russell W. Colgan on the script. This one's definitely a low-budget affair. You get that classic 80s exploitation vibe right from the poster. Lots of wild, trashy energy. It's distributed by Cannon Films, under 2 different names depending where you found it. Don't walk in expecting Hollywood polish. Picture frat prank silliness in the beginning, then whiplash straight into gritty, over-the-top violence. Time Out magazine actually called it a psychological, cinematic sewer of destruction. Not exactly glowing, right? Let's not sugarcoat it. Critics weren't exactly raving. On average, it's sitting around 4.6 out of 10. It borrows from movies like Death Wish or Animal House, but doesn't really reach those heights. No cult classic status here either. You're way more likely to find it on a dusty old VHS in a bargain bin than as a Blu-ray collector's edition. If you're fascinated by 80s revenge thrillers or super into niche exploitation cinema, sure, it's something to tick off your list. You'll see a bunch of classic tropes: revenge outside the law, college life gone way off the rails, and a main character you might root for, at least until things get a little too violent. There's a definite sleazy exploitation style, and even a few softcore teen hooks, according to critics. Bottom line, it's messy, morally grey, and way darker than you'd expect from a movie with a fraternity house opening. Honestly, unless you're digging around in the trenches of low-budget 80s movies, Young Warriors isn't essential viewing. It's more of an interesting side note. Still, if you're a die-hard Ernest Borgnine or Richard Roundtree fan, or you're obsessed with tracking down every bizarre campus vigilante flick ever made, it's worth a look, even if just once. The UK title, The Graduates of Malibu High, tries to sell it as more of a college comedy, which is hilarious once you realise how dark the movie gets. Heads up! The sudden mashup of frat party antics and seriously grim violence can be pretty jarring. The movie deals with some heavy stuff, fair warning before you hit play. You won't find a ton written about this movie outside of super niche websites and collectors forums. Most people have forgotten it even exists, but hey, sometimes those are the fun ones to dig up. Love obscure 80s movies? Hungry for more weird nostalgia? Hit subscribe to Movies of the 80s and let's deep dive into the decade together.